All right. Hello, welcome to Kinetic Stretch. Today is going to be a hip and lower body focus class. So I want to start off with some hip capsular cars from standing. I have two things to help me balance, an umbrella and a Swiffer. And I would suggest that you kind of have either like a chair or a countertop to balance on. All right. And we're going to do some hip capsular cars from two different spots. We're first going to start with our knee directly in front of our hip. So we're slowly going to rise our knee directly in front of our hip. Now, what I want you to notice is I don't want you to come so high that you have to bend the left knee and hunch over with the back. All right? You're only coming up to the point of maximal hip flexion, and your knee bends at 90 degrees. So nice and slow through tension, I'm going to bring it up. Hold it there. I'm feeling that hip, and I'm going to externally rotate it as far as I can, trying to go further. 3, 2, 1. Internally rotate it as far as I can. 3, 2, 2. Externally rotate it through tension. 3, 2, 3. 3, 2, 4. Try to let the lower leg stay relaxed. 3, 2, 5. 3, 2, 6. Try not to hip hike on that internal rotation. 3, 2, 7. 3, 2, 8. Last one, hips starting to get a little tired. 3, 2, 9. 3, 2, and 10. Slowly go down. Woo! My leg's heavy. So if you didn't feel that working throughout the hip joint or the inner thighs, then you might be compensating with your lumbar spine, all right? Or the other leg. Let's try the same on the other leg. Here we go. We slowly rise that hip into flexion at 90 degrees. I'm letting my lower leg hang relaxed and slowly into external rotation. 3, 2, 1. Internal rotation. 3, 2, 1. It's a little bit more restricted on that side for a minute. 3, 2, 2. 3, 2, 2. Feel your hip work. Try to push into end ranges. 3, 2, 3. 3, 2, 3. 3, 2, 4. 3, 2, 4. Last one. 3, 2, 5. 3, 2, 5. Woo! But that was interesting. On that last external rotation, when I was here, I really focused on aligning my pelvis with my right side, and I felt something completely different that I'd never felt before. So I want to try that one more time, just to show you guys what I do when I find something different. I try to repeat it and see if what I was missing. Here, I'm externally rotating and pushing that left butt cheek back. I feel a little something happening back here. Not bad, not pain, just a new sensation to help me get more in touch with that hip joint. This is the power of cars. It's always an assessment. You're learning more and more things about what your hip can do every time you do it. All right. Now, I'm still going to keep both of these as my balance. I'm just going to bring them in. But now what we're going to do is we're going to abduct and externally rotate the hip, and we're going to pull it up to the side, and then we're going to do our internal and external rotation. So I'm here, Keep my belly button facing you, as high and as far out as I can get it without rotating the pelvis too much. External rotation, 3, 2, 1. Internal rotation, 3, 2, 1. External rotation, 3, 2, 2. Internal, 3, 2, 2. 3, 2, 3. 3, 2, 3. Hips getting tired. Try not to compensate. 3, 2, 4. 3, 2, 4. 3, 2, 5. 3, 2, and 5. Whew. All right. So my balance tools. These would be better if they were really stationary objects, but being in quarantine, you just kind of do the best you can. But notice that I start to wobble a little bit, all right? So it would be even better. I like to do these on a squat rack where I can really hug my body around the squat rack to help me stabilize a little bit more. Let's get to our abducted position a little bit differently this time. We'll start to flex, abduct, and now let's go. 3, 2, 1. 3, 2, 1. 3, 2, 2. 3, 2, 2. I'm looking for that feeling I felt in external rotation with my knee up in front. Seeing if I can mimic that. And I can a little bit. Communication tool with the body to see what my hip can do that day. Whew, that was tired. Good work. All right. I want to go onto a heels elevated, tails rails from standing. Actually, I'm going to still use the Swiffer for a little bit of balance. All right. So I had showed this another time before in one of my morning stretch routines, and I really liked it. So I want to go over it a little bit more in detail now that we have some more time. So what I'm searching for is to try to hit a stretch in the top part of my hamstring. So it's kind of right where my gluteal fold is. And that's basically right where your butt ends and right where your hamstring starts. And you should feel a little bony protuberance there. It's called your ischial tuberosity. That's right where your hamstring connects. That's what I'm looking to stretch here. Now it's difficult to find that position, all right? How I'm going to do it is I'm going to elevate my heel up onto a not so high couch. If you are very bendy, or the more flexible that you are, the higher your leg will come up, okay? For me, my hip and my hamstring to be specific, not very flexible, right? So I'm gonna start pretty low. And now, to take the calf down here out of the equation, I'm gonna bend my knee slightly and dig my heel into the couch. And I'm gonna try to push my hip backwards and come more into anterior tilt. And when I do that, if I go slowly and breathe, I can start elongating this piece of tissue here. And I can start to feel a stretch there. Alexa, set timer 2 minutes.
2 minutes, starting now.
So over the next 2 minutes, it is our job to maintain the stretch feeling in the spot or in the tissue that we want to feel it. Your body's really good at losing that stretch feeling. And the way that you gain more of it is by arching the back, anteriorly tilting the pelvis, and flexing at the hip. If you're still having trouble finding it, you can start to roll or rotate the hip or roll the heel to find different angles of pull. And that'll help you find that stretch. And here is where I think I want mine for the next 90 seconds. While we're holding this, I'm going to explain pails and rails. Pails contraction, twofold. Remember, both of them are isometric. Twofold pails contraction. Heel goes down into the couch like I'm trying to bring my whole leg back to even with the other leg or back to neutral. Second contraction is I'm also trying to bend my knee. That's the pails contraction. Rails contraction is me trying to straighten out the knee joint and also trying to flex the hip joint, which would allow my foot to hover up off the couch. In order to do that, I don't want to create rounding of the spine. But for right now, we're just breathing in that passive stretch position. Keep finding that. There we go. I just adjusted to find it more. I had to pull this backwards more. Finding a stretch is an art. Take some practice. Alexa, timer off. Pals contraction, pressing down into the couch, attempting to bend the knee. Ready, go. Start slowly. Try to activate that specific tissue that we just stretched for 2 minutes. Ramping it up 30%, 40%, 50%. Start squeezing other tissues to help you. More, more, more. 10 more seconds. Focus now. Irradiate through the rest of your body. In 5 seconds, we're going to rails. 3, 2, 1. Try to straighten out that leg. Try to lift by flexing the hip more. Do not posterior tilt. Breathe. I'm not actually able to lift my leg, and I got it up a little bit. Straightening it out. More anterior tilt. 5, 4, 3, 2, and I put the heel back down. Ooh, and I'm back into my passive stretch for at least another 30 seconds. Breathing here. Feeling the stretch in that spot again. Breathe, relax, try to sink deeper into it. And we will slowly come on out of there. Woo! And if you did that correctly, you should really be feeling a lot of work done on that hip. All right? That is what mobility is all about. Flexibility is not too important on its own. Really about mobility. So the ability of the tissue to stretch and the ability of the opposite side of that joint to produce force is what comprises mobility. Let's try the other leg. I'm going to go and grab my other balance object, my umbrella, and see if it helps me stay a little bit square, because I got to spend a lot of time adjusting myself, focusing on stretching that area. I want to try to make it as easy as possible to find and hold that stretch. So again, I elevated my foot up. Remember, more bendy, foot's going to go higher. Less bendy, some people will feel this just right on the floor like that. Okay? Find the best position for you to work in. Remember, we're trying to expand capacity, not impress anyone. All right? So I'm going to align my pelvis and anteriorly tilt. I want the knee to be slightly bent. And I start to push that butt backwards. Gliding forward. And I think I got it. Alexa, 2 minutes, timer.
2 minutes, starting now.
Breathing, relaxing. Keep trying to find that stretch. You may have to alter pelvic position. You may have to alter ankle position. For me, it helps to actually push down on the gas pedal or plantar flex because it helps relax my calf a little bit more. I also got to focus on keeping my pelvis at the same height on each side because I'm really good at hip hiking or kind of side crunching to help the hamstring not take as much load in this position. So find what your compensations are and fix them. Turn a little bit this way. There we go. Now I got it. So it's constant. It's constantly finding that position. There's really no such thing as a passive stretch because although the couch is putting me into this position and gravity's holding me there, I got to keep working to find it. Your body's good at losing. Stay focused during your stretching. Just breathe. Pals contractions going to happen as we push the heel down and try to bend the knee. Rails contraction happens when we try to straighten the knee and lift the heel up. Alexa, timer off. All right, Pals contractions starting off very slowly. Think about bending the knee, driving down into the couch. 10% pressure, 20%, 30%, 40%, 50, 60, 70, your safest, greatest pressure that you can handle today, pressing down into that couch, sending a signal to that hamstring that it can still contract from here. And rails, go, try to straighten out the knee, try to lift it up, try not to go into posterior pelvic tilt. Breathe and squeeze, this is difficult. This should be the harder of the two contractions. Don't lose it. Work for it. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Back to your passive stretch. I'll hold here for another 30 seconds. Whew. That felt good. You got to work to keep the joints healthy and mobile. Think about how much time you spend in mid-range positions and how little time you spend in end-range positions. Even if you're doing full range of motion on exercises, if you notice, we tend to rush through the end range and tend to go a little bit slower through the mid-range. That is normal because end range is always harder than mid-range. Good, we can come out of there. But that again just makes you stronger and more flexible in the middle range of stuff, and it creates a bigger peak of the force length curve. And we're trying to fight against that. We want to keep our end range positions. All right, I'm going to have a seat on an elevated surface with my back up against a couch. I can also use a wall here, whatever you have. I am elevating my foot or my butt because of my current levels of mobility. And you should also play within your current mobility range. All right. I'm also going to use a block. I need another pillow here. I'm also going to use a block as a marker because we're going to do some hip flexion hovers. So I'm going to use a block as a marker. Now this would be a lot better if this cushion was actually firm, but again, work with what you got. So I'm going to use this block as a marker to hover my leg over. If you don't have a block, you can easily use a shoe, all right? What I want you to do is make sure, when you're up against a wall, make sure that your tailbone is up against the wall, and you're trying to sit up as straight as you can. So I don't want to see any hunched over positions. And what we're going to try to do with a straight leg is hover over the block, come down to the outside of it. And then we're going to hover over the block and come back in. We're going to do that 3 times each direction. All right. Here we go. So I'm sitting up nice and straight. I'm locking out my quadricep. Wherever my ankle wants to go is fine. Point it or pulled. If you practice yoga, you might want to pull them here because you do that a lot. If you practice ballet, you might want to point them because you're instructed to do that a lot. Or if you want to train opposites. Always good. All right. But wherever it goes, keep it there. Don't alter it. We're going to move from the hip joint. We're going to lift, out, down. Lift, in, down. That's 1. 2. 3. Good. We're now going to take the block and move it out a little bit wider. All right, just so we're right there. So I'm starting where I finished last time. Now we're going to go up, out, down, up, in, down. Same movement, just hip flexors are working at a different angle here. You'll also notice my foot is barely clearing this block because this is my end range. This is where we want to make stronger to increase mobility. If I am clearing the block by a huge amount, then it means I'm not really using this to train end range. What you should do is stand the block up, okay? And here, I probably can stand to go a little bit higher. Let's try it. Leg is straight, up, out, down, up, in, down. I'm gonna go even higher still. Up, out, down, up, in, down. One more. Brace. Brace. Good. We got one more. I know that this is going to be my hardest position, so I'm going to go back down. I'm going to see if I can get out all the way out to the outside. Again, same exercise. I'm just changing angles. It is always important to change angles because a lot of the exercises, traditional exercises that we do in the gym, just work straight lines right in front of our body in the sagittal plane. We definitely move outside of that. You should train outside of that. All right, here we go. I'm actually going to put my other hand here to help me press. 3, 2, 1. 1. 2. 3. Woo, good work. All right. I gotta set this up slightly differently since this other part of the couch is in my way. So let me try it right here. All right. So back up against the wall. That there. And I'm gonna get my setup right to where my tailbone is up against the wall. I'm trying to maintain anterior pelvic tilt. And I'm just going to move the leg from the hip flexor going up and out. Here we go. Ready? Lift, out, down. Lift, in, down. One more. Good, all right. Let's move this out a little bit. I'm gonna move myself to the side. The joys of working in a one-bedroom apartment is that you gotta constantly find ways to work, even when you're limited on space. All right, here we go. So I'm a little bit wider this time. I'm gonna try it with this. Also notice, it is okay that I don't have the same height of the block side to side, that I don't have the same range of motion. Of course, we're always going to try to work to get that equal, but it may never be, all right? You just keep trying to work at that. Don't get discouraged by it. Here we go. Big chest. Lift up, out, down. That's one. 2. 3. Good. Let's get as wide as we can here in our straddle position. This couch is in the way again. All right, try this. See how this goes. This is my limited range of motion hip. And a little too fast for my liking. I'm gonna try to slow it down here. Ready? And lift. And lift. One more. Ooh, nice work. One of the compensations I just noticed myself doing is I do that hip hike or side crunch. You know, that's something I'm working towards avoiding. It's going to take some time. Again, don't get discouraged. Just try to focus in on moving the hip and stabilizing that area. All right. Cool. Let's go into some 90-90 positions. All right, and let's work from here. So 90-90 position is a tough place to work from for some, and a good place to work from for others. In this case, since I can't see you, if you have trouble staying in this position and doing a big side crunch, kind of like I do, and you have any pinching going on in this hip, what I want you to do is take a pillow or a foam block, and you're gonna just elevate your front butt cheek. All right? And now I'm able to stay a lot more upright. All right? I don't feel any pain or discomfort on that side of the hip. All right? If you're able to sit upright without any support, without a block, then that's where you should work from. If you need to keep elevating yourself because one block's not enough, do so. Listen to your body. The 90-90 position, we have 90 degrees at the ankle, knee, hip, back knee, back ankle. All right? And I want you to notice something. Right now, my front leg, the hip joint, is not only externally rotated, but it's also flexed. All right, and this is a place that we're going to do work in. And what I want to do is I want to stretch out the external rotators and the hip extenders. All right, so that would be here. As I glide forward, I can use my hands for this. I should feel a stretch kind of behind that left butt cheek area. I want to make sure that my pelvis is not rotated, and I want to be precise with what I'm hitting. All right, what I don't want is I don't want you to round your spine. I know that you can find a stretch with a rounded spine, but what we're trying to do is isolate the stretch in the hip and not have our back contribute to it. So we want a neutral spine. We're going to push the left butt cheek backwards. We'll swing that right hip forward a little bit to help us find it. Alexa, set timer for 2 minutes.
2 minutes, starting now.
All right, it's our job to keep this stretch going for 2 minutes. Make sure you feel it in the right spot. If you're losing it, you can press down a little bit on that front leg, on the knee. Elongate the chest upwards, sink the hips backwards, glide the chest forward. There we go. I just got it again, got more of it. Remember, it's constant battle. Keep finding it. You got to stay focused. 2 minutes is a long time to keep finding that stretch. When we get into our pals contraction is activation of the stretch tissue. So we want to think extending the hip and rotating our leg back to neutral, or internally rotating the hip. So we're not only thinking of pressing down into the floor with our whole shin, but we have a bias of weight on the ankle, kind of rolling the leg back to neutral. All right, and that's going to be a 20-second contraction like our pals contraction normally is. And we ramp our way up. Rails, trying to lift the whole leg up off the ground, flexing the hip joint more, and externally rotating more. So thinking ankle here, up to face. Just breathe. Keep bowing that stretch. Sometimes if you give a little rails contraction, it will help you find the stretch more. Alexa, timer off. Let's begin our pals contraction lightly and specifically. Try to activate that stretched tissue by pushing down into the floor. Breathe. Ramping up 30%, 40%, 50, 60, 70, 80. Safest, greatest pressure. Squeeze it, push it. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3. When I get to rails, try not to alter body position. And rails. 9, 20, 19. Firing in here. Trying to lift that up. Trying to maintain that anterior pelvic tilt. Get that leg moving. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Rest. Get deeper into your passive stretch for the last 30 seconds. That rails contraction is very difficult to feel. A lot of stuff happening in here. It should increase the stretch a little bit on the stretched tissue. Once we hold this, we're going to do a set of kinetic stretching. So what kinetic stretching is movement using the pals and rails tissue. So we are going to hinge our body forward and backward. When we go forward, we want to pull ourselves forward using the rails tissue. When we go backwards, we want to push ourselves backwards using the pals tissue. So we'll come to upright position. I'm going to glide my chest forward by squeezing here all here to pull myself in. Ready? Go. Pull, 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 pull. Remember, don't around the back. Just squeeze, just squeeze, just squeeze. I'm about as far as I can go. Now pails, push the ground away. Using that leg, push yourself back to upright. That's 1. We got 5. Pull, pull. Nice and slow. You should feel more stretch happening in the butt here. And push, push, push. 2. Pull. Push. 3. Pull. Remember, we're feeling all this pull us forward, pull us forward, pull us forward. And now we're feeling all outside here, pushing us backwards, pushing us backwards, pushing us backwards. Remember, kin stretch is a body control class to begin with. So we're learning how to activate different tissues to control us. Good, I think that was 5. Let's just relax. We'll come on out of that slowly. Oh, that is a lot of time under tension for the hip. Oh, gonna shake that out a little bit. And we're gonna do one more set of pails rails on the right side, and then a set of kinetic stretching on the right side, and then we will call it a day for our hip class. All right, let's start back from the beginning. Let's get into our 90-90 with our right leg forward. And I'm going to elevate my right butt cheek because of my current level of mobility. Remember, listen to that. And this one, I could probably stand to elevate a little bit more, but I don't have a block. So I'm good here. But I know I can stand to elevate a little bit more because this hip can't internally rotate quite as much, so it pushes the pelvis up. Again, how do I figure that out? The power of doing cars and the power of going into a bunch of different positions to figure out what works where, all right? So let's find our stretch behind that right butt cheek. Use those hands to find it. You can even press down. There we go. Now I got it. So finding a passive stretch, like we said, it's difficult, can be tricky to hit exactly what you want to hit. A trick I like to use is try just moving your body in the opposite direction of the point you want to stretch, and that's going to hit that line pretty well. Or at least somewhere around that line. And try to push that part of your body as far into the stretch as you can. So right now, I actually feel like I'm anteriorly tilting so much that my right butt cheek is pushing back towards the window behind me. And that helps me find that stretch there. Breathing, holding. Alexa, set timer 2 minutes.
2 minutes, starting now.
Hold this one a little extra on the side since I started the timer late. Some people feel knee pain while they're in this position. Right? If you're feeling knee pain in the 90-90, it could mean kind of a few things. A, it means you should definitely adjust your 90-90 so that the knee isn't the focal point taking the brunt of the work. Right? B, it means that you may lack knee rotation, and that's something entirely different that you want to check out. C, it may just mean 90-90 is not right for you right now, or the depth of your 90-90, or the total amount of volume that you're doing in the 90-90 might not be right for you right now. Remember, we don't always have to modify exercise. You can modify the time under tension, the volume, frequency, duration, all of that, the intensity, all right? Find what works for you. Right now, we're still just finding that butt stretch in the right butt cheek. There we go. I got it back. See, I lose it sometimes when I talk. It takes a lot of focus to keep it up. Remember pals contraction, pushing down into the ground. Rails contraction, lifting up off. The pals contraction has a bias of internally rotating or rotating back to neutral. Rails contraction, bias of externally rotating. Alexa, timer off. Pals contraction, slowly activate that stretched tissue, pressing down into the floor, trying to extend the hip, and trying to rotate it back to neutral for 20, 19, 18. We're slowly ramping up the pressure. 15, 14, 13, 12, 11, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and rails. Squeeze, externally rotate. Try not to use the spine to do it. Try to lighten the load of the ankle joint on the floor. Try not to alter that pelvic position. 15, 14, 13, 12, 11, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and rest. Let's sink deeper into that stretch for the external rotators. That was definitely harder on this side. I'm having a hard time finding the activations and the stretches today. It could be because this left hip is feeling extra tight and my pelvis isn't in the right position. If I had another block, as I said earlier, I would have raised myself up. Now, that doesn't mean that what I'm doing is futile today. It just means it's not optimal. But remember, it doesn't have to be optimal as long as you're doing some stuff with intention and you're not hurting yourself and you're really focused on what you're trying to accomplish. Exercise is always good, all right? But just don't do stuff without intention. All right, let's do our last round of kinetic stretching. Remember, rails tissue in here is going to pull me forward. Pals tissue out here and out back here are going to push me back. Rails pulling forward. Pals pushing backwards. Rails pulling forward. Pals pushing backwards. Number 3. Pull, 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 pull. Come on, push it, push it, push it. Push. 4. Push. Give me one more. Pull. Pull forward, pull forward, pull forward. Activate all this to pull, activate all this to pull, activate all this to pull. And push, 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 push. 5. Woo. Oh, let's come out of there. Oh, yeah. So, shake that leg out. One thing to note, when I first started my joint mobility journey using functional range conditioning, I started in 90-90 a lot of the time. And I would get numb sitting in that position, right? That was probably a sign that it wasn't the best position for me. Was there some value in it? Sure. Was it the most optimal way of doing things? Probably not, but I didn't know any better at the time, all right? Remember, always check other options. There are a million ways to train external rotation and flexion. 90-90 is not the be-all, end-all. Don't be afraid to elevate your butt up if it is a better position for you at this time. All right. Great job today in kin stretch, guys. I will see everyone next week.